360. He's appeared on the Today Show. He's appeared on Fox News. Aside from that, this person has been awarded over a dozen patents from the US government for his work on unique cell culture delivery techniques. This person is also a consultant to NASA in reference to the robotic arm of the space shuttle. As if that's not mind-blowing enough, ladies and gentlemen, this man is a Nobel Prize nominee in the area of stem cell research. Folks in the house, please join me now. Put your hands together, make some noise, because this person with all those credentials is also our medical advisor. Let's give it up. It is Dr. Vincent Giampapa.
Wow, okay. It's such a pleasure to be back here. You know, first time I came here was almost 4.5 years ago, and it was an amazing situation to see today how much Juness's presence has grown and how successful the company has been. And you know, one of the most important things you heard Scott say is that this company is based on credibility. It's based on the latest techniques in not only the industry itself and how you as distributors are being able to improve the quality of your lives, but more importantly, or as importantly, is the science behind what we do. Because my job and my whole goal in my life is to wake up in the morning and see how can I improve what we already know? How can I make our products better? And how can I touch as many people as possible to improve their lives? So I want to give you an overview today of what we've been doing and a peek at where we're going in the very near future. Why I say that is the following. Today, if you look around, some of you are going to say, well, I might not be around here in 50 or 60 years. Well, I have news for you. You will be around here in 50 or 60 years, because the technology that we are now looking at research-wise will probably give just about everybody in this room the opportunity to live well over 100 years of age, feeling probably better than you do now. And the exciting thing is much of that concept and technology is already built into our products at Juness. So I want you to understand what differentiates this company from any other company in our arena is the pure credibility and science behind what's going on with all our products. So with that, let's take a peek. Okay, so, you know, a synergistic system of science, that is how we create the products. And the products just don't stand on themselves, they work together. And to me, one of the fundamental things we need to look at is what's the basic unit of what keeps ourselves healthy is our cells. If you take a look at what's happening today in the world, there is an unbelievable problem, and that is the number of older people compared to young people are dramatically getting greater and greater and greater. And unless we change our model of medicine, that is, we start to look at being proactive and preventive, we're going to have a major issue in the near future, because we'll never be able to take care of the elderly people who are both our families and friends, but more importantly ourselves. So the secret here is this growing massive aging population is actually going to be one of the biggest things in Juness's favor to continue to grow as rapidly and successfully as it has grown over the last few years. So although it's an issue, our job is to attack that issue. Your job is to be able to present to people how they can be proactive and preventive in their future health. So basically, when we take a look at the things that are going on today in our research, and at Harvard, we're doing a number of new things to look at exactly how do we make your cells work better. What are the natural compounds? We're going to briefly today go over this whole concept of telomeres, stem cells, how we can now turn on and off different genes so that our cells work better, and also this whole new concept of these things called old or senescent cells. We now know that the more damage our cells collect, the quicker we age. So we're already focusing on that with one of our products in Juness. So in 2014, our research team received the nomination for this whole new approach to how can we actually reverse aging in old people's cells. And what we realized that we could actually turn up or down different genes that actually cause cells to age or tissues to age if we gave them the right type of compounds. So what we did is we developed AM/PM using a very similar, virtually identical technique of looking at what does nature naturally provide us to help keep our genes working in the right symphony, in the right balance. Okay? So when we look at human beings, okay, all of us have, if we look at our hands, we'll see our body cells. What we don't see is embedded in each one of the tissues in our body, our liver, our heart, our brains, are things called stem cells. Those cells are normally asleep, and until the body's damaged or the aging process kicks in, those cells wake up and they start to create new cells to replace the damaged or aging cells. Here's the only problem. We're only born with a fixed number of stem cells. So it's like having a car. You might buy a new Ferrari or a Mercedes and you get one tank of gas. Well, if you drive that car very fast, you don't change the oil, you're not going to go very far with that car. But when the tank of gas is empty, the car is useless. So that's pretty close to the model that we've had as human beings. At this point in time, we not only can give you better mileage, we actually now can start to fill your tank up and replace those stem cells and even make them work better. I'll talk to you about that at the very end. But the world is changing. Every one of you here happen to be alive at a point in history which is going to completely change what it means to grow old or feel old. So this is one of the most exciting times. You could have chosen to be alive. So you made the right choice coming out and being alive at this point in time. Okay, so what about our YES system? Well, the YES system is really a unique thing. Again, the science behind YES is highly organized, and that is, the first thing we're looking at is restoring the basic function of the cell itself, because your cells make tissues, your tissues make your body is what we have to live in. Basically, we focus on from the repair and maintenance of and function of our cells to the energy and preparedness we need in the morning to face the day and the challenges of the day. The key thing we looked at is what happens as we age with inside ourselves is our bio clock. That is, at night we should be tired, and in the morning we should be awake. But what happens is this whole system changes because there's changes in our genes. So our biological clock is another issue we were addressing, and we've been managed to make a major improvement in how we can reset that as well. And most importantly, all the products that have been designed within the YES system are designed to work together. That is, if you take AM/PM, Reserve, Zen, the Zen Fuse protein, that bundle itself creates a dramatic improvement in not only how you feel, but how you look. When you take Mind on top of that, Infinity, you add another dimension of improving how the genes are working and how those cells function. So I'm trying to explain to you, you may look at different other companies that have vitamin or mineral product or a product for this or that. None of the companies, none of the science behind any of these other entities have been designed to work the way our system works with the YES system. Okay, so anti-aging has actually become an old word. It's aged out, if you will. We're really talking about how do we improve cellular health, or how our cells function. Okay. So if we take a look, we'll start that video. Now what happens is, basically our body is made of cells, and how our cells function, how they repair themselves, will determine basically how our organs work, our tissue works, and eventually how our bodies work. So the focus here in all our research, even now and in the past, but even more so where we're heading in the future, is how do we make each one of the 30 trillion cells that make us up work better. So the YES system, again, is unique. And this is something I think everybody here should really know, these kind of 4 key points. The products are designed to work from the inside of your cells out and from the outside in. Number 2, restoring the basic function of how your cells work, that is with AM/PM, that this product helps restore the receptors, the little parking lots on the cells, so that the products that you either consume or use topically are able to work better. All the products in the YES system are experiential. So you feel or you see the difference. And for people to continue to want to take a product, they have to see or feel the difference. And with Luminous product line, there's a dramatic improvement in how that skin looks. And when we use our oral products, people sleep better. They have more energy. They notice their hair and skin and nails are looking better. So you're starting to see that experiential products are the key to long-term success. And lastly, when products are designed, they have to be designed to work in synergy, as I said earlier. So the system here has been designed to impact each one of those steps. And I think the key thing is when you explain to people why is the science behind Juness unique, if you understand this, it's a very, very easy way to explain why we are the leaders in the field of anti-aging and cell health. So we'll run this and I'll go over this message in a minute. I don't think the volume is up. But recently I had the honor to be on a special that went globally to over 400 million people. And Stephen Hawkins was the host of this. So basically, as we age, what he's saying is that these cells, our bodies accumulate damage inside our cells to our DNA. But when we're young, our bodies have the opportunity to repair this. Okay, but if we live in a certain environment, that environment, if it's stressful, will cause our cells age quickly. If it's in a more peaceful environment, our cells age less quickly. And one of the things that I brought out on this TV show was that I don't believe aging is inevitable. Now that might sound a little far out. I truly believe at this moment in time, we have the scientific tools to literally slow the aging process dramatically. I think, and I absolutely believe that in the next 5 to 7 years, we'll be able to reverse the aging process, because I've already seen that we've done that already in human cells and in animals. Now that's pretty amazing. The secret is you have to stay healthy for the next 5 to 7 years as optimally as you can to take advantage of what's coming in the near future. And we already have the products to help you do that. But again, in a few minutes, I'm going to show you some of the things that in the very near future will be available. So we have 100 trillion cells. We have 10 feet of DNA in each cell. So every day, there's over 500,000 pieces of damage that occurs to your genetic software. Our bodies, up until our age of 30, can fix all of that. It's a program. So basically, what are we? We are biological machines that run on proteins, DNA, and we're endowed with self-repair, but we're also endowed with self-damage, because our lifestyle, where we live, what we drink, what we eat dictates how much damage we're going to suffer. But the best part about this is if you take a look at your hand, and everybody in this room has different ages, but if I go like this, I can tell you this hand is only 7 years old. Okay? Every 7 years, every one of the 100 trillion cells of your body is replaced. So you're never really older than 7 years old, because those cells constantly are replaced. If your stem cells are working great, you replace those new cells with perfectly functioning cells. If they've suffered damage, those supposedly new cells aren't working so well. So let's take a quick look into the body and see what actually happens. So if we were a tiny little microorganism and we were able to jump inside this body, inside this cell, we would see these little white things called free radicals moving up and down. This is from the food. This energy is released from the food we eat, the carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. And those little white things are actually kind of like damaging particles that we would take a jump right into the center, or the nucleus, the genetic control center of the cell. We'd see our chromosomes. Now these chromosomes are wrapped tightly to protect our DNA with these little round pieces of genetic material called histones, which protect it from that damage. But right there in their DNA strand, and coming up right there, right now, those little free radicals create breaks in our DNA. So it's like having a virus in your software. So if you don't clean your laptop up frequently, what happens is the viruses continue to build up until the software doesn't work anymore, and the computer crashes. It's basically exactly what happens to our cells. So let's take another analogy. A photocopy machine. And the piece of paper here on the far left says, "I am healthy." So if I took that piece of paper and put it on my photocopy machine, and let's say the photocopy machine is my body, and I made 50 copies of that, and took out the 50th copy, put it back in the machine, and made another 50 copies, you notice that that copy started to get blurred. The letters didn't really make sense, but I could still kind of read the message. It's supposed to be, "I am healthy." So that's what happens when you're about 50. When you're in your 70s, okay, if I take that piece of paper, put it back in the photocopy machine, and do another 50 or 100 copies, I really can't read the genetic information. And what happens is the photocopy machine doesn't work anymore. So the secret is damage to our DNA. And these letters actually represent what the messages DNA would be giving, so that those cells would work perfectly. So if we have a lot of damage, what happens? We age quickly, we have poor health, we develop tumors, our stem cells don't work well, and it all comes down to this little Xerox copy machine analogy. So to make things a little bit easier to understand, on the far left, you'll see vitamins and minerals here, work here. What we're seeing here is both our stem cells and our body cells need certain compounds to work optimally, vitamins and minerals. But as they accumulate so much damage to that genetic software, what happens is the following. So most companies will say, "We have a great vitamin mineral supplement." Well, that's super, because that keeps your cells working optimally until we have a little too much damage. If we start to suffer damage, your cells need these other ingredients, which can actually cause those damaged cells to be repaired and start working optimally again for your health. If you don't use those right compounds that we've found about in our research, what happens is not only does the DNA damage accumulate, but you can and you frequently develop cancers. In fact, we all develop cancers on a daily basis. It's a little scary, but if we keep our immune system strong, those cancer cells are destroyed. They're walled off, and we don't end up with a tumor or disease. But what we're trying to explain to you today is with Juness, with AMPM, with Finity, with Reserve, we're moving way beyond the world of vitamins and minerals. We're now in another whole world that has to do with how we can manipulate our genes to stay healthy. So as we age, you'll see when we're young, our stem cells, let's go back to this one. Our stem cells, the red lines, we see we have a lot of stem cells, and we even develop a few extra ones as we're turning into teenagers. Once we're an adult, we've used up a lot of those stem cells to create optimally healthy bodies. As those stem cells start to age and get damaged, we start to age. And the more we have, the quicker we age. So the first question you're going to ask me is, well, how do I get rid of those bad guys, right? We now have oral compounds that help remove those. We actually have cell therapy, which we're actually already starting to give, where you take a little injection, a little infusion of your special killer cells that actually wipe out those senescent cells and boost your immune function. But what we found is one gene is really responsible for creating those old damaged cells. And I'm going to talk about that in a minute, because every time you take some reserve, you just turn that gene down, which is why reserve's one of the reasons it's a great product. So DNA damage, DNA repair seems to be the focus of everything that's going on in the research labs all over the world. You've probably seen this picture a few times, either in my lectures or other places. This is a boy who was born with a disease called progeria. So what's progeria? He has a genetic defect in one of the 30,000 genes we have. One. What gene is it? Can you guess? The DNA repair gene. So this is what happens when someone is born without the gene to repair the damage to our genetic software. On the left, he's 19. On the right, he's 27. And I think he made it to about 30 years of age. What did he die of? Cardiovascular disease, stroke, heart attacks, cataracts, which were all present because he has disease that ages him about 10 times quicker than us. But don't be fooled, we all have the same disease. It's called aging. We're lucky enough not to have our clock set that high. So this gentleman, what did we find out with him? Well, we did something called a centenarian study, and we've looked at the genes in people who lived to be 100, 105, 110, and guess what is special about their genes? Their DNA repair genes are 5 to 10 times more effective than the average 40-year-old person. So you have somebody like this running a 100-yard dash at 105 years of age. So we're starting to see the importance of keeping our genetic software healthy and repairing the damage to our genes. So AMPM Essentials, as one of the core products in Genes, has been designed to support most of these functions. That is to help limit free radical damage, to help DNA repair itself. It is basically the next generation of oral supplements, and it is not a vitamin mineral supplement. It is what we call a cell health supplement, or a supplement that actually turns genes on and off. Now you'll go nowhere, no other company anywhere will talk about what we're talking about today, because this is the core science of what goes on here in Genes. Let's take a look at a few other things we found out. So as we age, we all find out that, gee, we get full quicker, certain foods we can't eat. Well, basically, as we age, we are unable to digest carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. Our pancreases don't make the amylase, protease, lipase enzymes we need. So what happens is we don't get nutritional value out of our food. We also don't have the right bacteria in our intestines, also called. So we've added all of those things in AMPM Essentials. We have 4 types of enzymes to help you digest and get more nutritional value out of your food. We're not just giving you things so that you absorb what's in AMPM. We're giving you compounds to help you absorb more nutritional value from your food. We're actually feeding your intestinal bacteria with different, what we call probiotics and prebiotics, because those things are required to convert certain vitamins to their active form. And so if we're not eating enough food and getting nutritional value, then we throw in the fact that today we have genetically modified foods. So what do those foods do? Those foods we absorb, and those genetically altered compounds gum up our genetic software inside our cells as well, creating more damage. So it's not a pretty picture, but that doesn't mean we can't really take care of this and fight this. So over the last few million years, human beings have evolved over mainly natural compounds. Okay, and these are just some of them that I've listed. But the problem today is those aren't available all year long, and some of them are extremely hard to find. And if you do find them, how do we get the active component from that? So the other science behind the oral products in Genes is being able to isolate these key compounds. And for instance, in this capsule is 92 different ingredients of food you wouldn't be able to get throughout the year, and some of it you wouldn't even be able to find. But it's being fed to your genetics, to your genetic software, because of what the science of AMPM has allowed us to do. Okay, so here comes the big thing. Everybody asks me, well, Dr. G, how do you know what products to put together to do this or to do that? How do you know what products help lengthen telomeres? How do you know what products cut inflammation down so my knees and my shoulders don't hurt so much? Well, this is a revolution. In the last year, we've been working with a software program that is very interesting. Now on your right, you'll see proteins regulating blah, blah, blah here. So we can choose what genes we want to flip up or down. We can put that information into a new software program, and in about 6 to 8 hours later, it will search 300,000 databases. It'll look at natural compounds, pharmaceutical compounds, tell us what ingredients would be the ideal combination of things to produce the most effective product, and how they don't interact or overcome each other. This new software program is unbelievably unique. So if we were to take a peek at what it looked like, it would kind of just run. This is one of the screens in our office when we're looking at a new product that we want to alter certain genetic impacts on the cells to create either things that impact our face and skin. It will search different databases, another couple 100,000 databases for natural compounds or pharmaceutical compounds. Thank you. And then what it does, it actually tells us how to blend these compounds together to produce the product that we want without having to do expensive clinical trials. But we'll talk about clinical trials in a minute also. So this artificial intelligence program is one of the biggest advances in the nutritional industry. Nobody else is using that at the moment, and nobody else has access to it. So when we talk about nutrients, about getting into the cells, we also have to talk about the issue of if cells aren't functioning correctly, the waste products that build up in the cells don't get out. And that's how our body creates these senescent or damaged cells. Now, one of the things we've done with designing virtually all the products from an oral point of view is what compounds do we need to help the cells clean themselves out, or what we call cellular detoxification. Because if we can do that, our cells function longer and more efficiently. And this is just a picture. As our cells get damaged, they create what looks like bad exhaust, if you will, coming out of these cells. And what those cells do then is they actually interact with the healthy surrounding cells and cause them to age quicker. So now we know the key gene involved in that is called mTOR. Okay, and guess what product it has that is a very strong mTOR inhibitor is resveratrol. And that happens to be one of the core products in Reserve. So when you're taking Reserve, you're not only getting antioxidants to limit the amount of damage those little white streaks are causing to your genetic software, but you're actually taking one of the most important products that will inhibit that gene that causes your unhealthy cells to impact your healthy cells. So this is another interesting thing. So there we go. That's a gene chip on the far left, and you'll see the yellow and green genes are active, the red and purple are inactive. So this young boy is now about 12. In a few more seconds, he's turning about 15. You see how the genes in the second column are changing to blue. Now he's hitting his early 30s, and some more of those genes are getting turned on and other genes are getting turned off. His hair is going to start turning gray now, and he's going to start to get a few wrinkles because now he's in that third and fourth genetic pattern. So what you just saw is about 60 years in 12 seconds. And what you're looking at is how our 30,000 genes go from one level of activity to another. This is called epigenetics. And so what have we discovered is how do we use certain compounds to kind of keep that profile as ideally as possible to the left. And that's, again, part of the S system. Ingredients and compounds that have been targeted based on the latest science of keeping us healthy. So I guess if you want to take 92 different tablets twice a day, you can do the thing on the left, or you can take AM, PM, Affinity, and Reserve, and look at where the future is, which is really a whole new concept in cellular aging. So if I were to explain to you how this works, let's say I take an AM, PM tablet, and one of those ingredients is these red little compounds. Let's call it beta carotene. So what happens is as ingredients go through your bloodstream, get into the cell genes or the genetic software will open up because of the type of compound that's there. These other compounds, let's call those vitamin C, will go land on the gene and actually turn a gene on and turn a gene off. And how does that happen is the DNA strand unwinds or contracts based upon the compounds that that cell receives. And that's how simple epigenetics is. So you guys are all an expert on that. Okay, so when we designed, for instance, AM/PM, we looked at different compounds that we needed for different functions inside the cell. We now can use that new software that will tell us exactly what are the best compounds to use and how they interact with each other. So the other thing we were looking at is what happens to us as we age is we don't sleep well at night and we're tired in the morning. You know, there's a genetic software program called our circadian clock, which basically is a biological clock. That's controlled by our genetics as well. So one of the key things we had to do was figure out how do we reverse what happens to all of us as we age, because as we age, instead of being tired at night, we're tired in the morning, we don't sleep at night. And that has to do with a number of different ingredients. We've chosen to restore that as well. So basically, by using certain amino acids in the evening, arginine, ornithine, lysine, and other herbal compounds, mostly from the East, we've been able to actually restore inside the cell this biological clock. So you sleep better, and you wake up more refreshed, and basically you can actually do more repairs to your cells. If you're not getting 7 hours of sleep a night, and this is really important, the latest research, even the past 2 months, shows if you're not getting 7 hours of deep sleep, that's REM sleep, okay, I'm going to show you how we know if you're getting REM sleep or not in a minute. You're not repairing your DNA efficiently. You're not making the hormones you need to stay healthy so you don't gain weight. So if you think you can get away with 3 or 4 hours of sleep and you're a macho man, your body isn't doing as well as it could. Okay. So when we looked at, initially, when we looked at AM, PM, we found that over 8 weeks, people not only started to feel better energy-wise and sleep better and focus better and basically felt less stress, but at 12 weeks, they even felt better. And it seems it takes about 3 months for your body to absorb all those nutrients inside all your cells so it works optimally. Now, each one of us is a little bit different, but so AM PM Essentials basically contains the latest science in cellular restoration, synergistically blended, and we're now using an artificial intelligence program to help us choose the ingredients. Why? Well, every 2 months, the information we know about cellular aging doubles. Now, that may not sound like a lot to you, but 2 months from now, we'll know twice as much as we do. 2 months after that, we'll know 8 times as much as we do. We can't keep up with the information. So in order to stay at the forefront of product development, whether it's topicals or orals, we now have the power of this amazing software to help us develop and create products that no one else will. Okay, so affinity. We all know about affinity. One of the key things is affinity impacts how long our chromosome, the telomeres are, or our biological hour clocks on our cells. This is a core product. So every few years we age, those little telomeres at the end of our cells get shorter and shorter, and when they hit a certain length, the cell stops dividing, and it becomes one of those nasty, what we call senescent cells, and starts to make bad exhaust. So you can see at 20, our telomeres are long. At 66, they're pretty much had it. Okay? And what happens is they become these diseased senescent cells, and they cause your healthy cells to age quicker. We don't like that. That's why reserve comes along. So what does reserve do? It inhibits some of those key genes that are involved in making these cells old and short. Memory. One of the most important things everybody seems to lose as they age is their keys. Their keys, their sunglasses, their regular glasses, and that's because as we age, again, the genetics in our mind, the software doesn't work as optimally. Now, what's so unique about mind is it's been designed to focus on the key issues that help us remember better. That is, the ingredients actually help us focus better, reduce our distractions, and have a more calm state of mind. And that all has to do with SEROQ, L-theanine, GABA, and acetyltyrosine. Those ingredients have been chosen for specific effects that allow you to actually enhance both your short and long-term memory. AM PM Essentials is a core product that helps restore the basic fundamental functions of your cells, your cell receptors, so adding additional products actually are more effective because those cells can actually absorb and use those ingredients more efficiently. When we use Luminesce from the outside in and AM PM from the inside out, what do we have is the ideal synergy, which is what the YES system creates. Okay, so aging is a process, and I said this from the beginning. I do not believe we are in a situation where we've inherited the aging process and are unable to make any impact. In fact, aging, 70% of what happens to us is our lifestyle, what we consume, and even what we think. Okay, so how do you eat for your genes? Okay, well, there's a couple basic rules. You put your two hands together. You should, it depends on how big you are, you should never eat more food than what can fit in the palms of your hands at one meal. You should eat your proteins first. There's a whole series of rules that we go by, and if you just learn this, you can eat so efficiently that you'll actually lose weight and be full. Exercise. The secret to exercising is very simple. If you do it first thing in the morning, for 15 minutes, just walk, you burn more calories the whole rest of the day. Now, how simple is that? If you do it at night, you don't burn as many calories and you might even keep yourself awake. You have to stretch as you get older because that keeps you from falling and keeps your balance intact. Okay, how about stress? Well, it's a very, very simple thing that has been done for centuries in the monasteries with the monks, where they just follow a basic rule like this. Breathing, focusing, and trying to slow their mind down before the day starts, because what this does is if you start your day without a relaxed state, your cortisol levels are higher. Cortisol is called the age-accelerating hormone. So just breathing and thinking calm thoughts makes a tremendous improvement. Okay, poor sleep. And I'm almost done here. Less than 7 hours a night. You saw what telomeres are. They dictate how many times your cell can divide. You have shorter telomeres. You have less DNA repair. Your immune system isn't as strong. So when you're flying and you don't get sleep, that's why many of us get sick. Your brain ages quicker and your memory disappears quicker. All because you didn't get enough sleep. And you also gain weight because when you don't sleep, you get more hungry. And that elevates your cortisol level, and that causes more fat deposition. These are simple rules, okay? So, again, the secret is feeding your cells the optimal compounds. AMPM is just one of them. Reserve is the other one. Finity is the other one. Mind is a phenomenal product. And when we put, those are all things that you can incorporate into your environment. Now, you all got inherited certain types of genes, right? So the secret is, how could we even track if those products are working or our lifestyle is better? So here's what's the latest innovation. The new Oura Rings you put on, you click your cell phone, and you can choose, by the way, today, silver ones with some diamonds, you could choose platinum ones. These are beautiful pieces of jewelry that 24/7 will not only measure how much sleep you have, how much REM you have, total number of sleep, how much light sleep. It'll give you a chart for weeks at a time so you can see when you're not getting a lot of sleep on your chart. If you've had a couple of days of bad sleep, that is not the day to work out real hard, or frankly, that's not the day you want to do something very exertive because you'll stress your body and most likely you'll get sick. It also measures your activity, how many calories you burned, your heart rate variability, which tells you how fit you are. And so now we're at the point where biowearables are not only going to help us dictate what our activity is and what we eat, but will be able to show us how effective the products we're taking actually are working. So here's this picture of the screen that I have on mine. For instance, my activity level here is in yellow. You'll see how well my activity level was. 80% you should be at least. I was at 88. Readiness score tells me that I've had enough sleep and I can go ahead and do something stressful. The next one actually tells me how much REM I had. I had 1.1 hour of REM during that last night, which was not good, but normally I have like 3 or 4 hours of REM. And then lastly, there's another score, and then once you see it's my body temperature. So when your body temperature starts to go down, that means you're more likely to get an infection. So with this new software, we can actually help predict our future health and how effective our products are working. So to summarize, what is the science behind Jeunesse? It's a science based on improving the fundamental unit of our bodies, which is our cells and our stem cells. And it's a science where the products work in synergy. They're experiential, you see or feel the difference, and they work from the outside in and inside out, all designed to work together. I was told I have to try to explain to you what makes us unique at Jeunesse. What is the science behind Jeunesse? I dare you to go and look into any other company and see if they'll explain any of this to anybody who's using the products. Now, I'm not saying their products are bad, they're probably good vitamins and minerals, but there is nobody who comes close to being on the cutting edge of what we do here at Juness, which is to give you the opportunity to live the longest and healthiest and most productive life you can. So it used to be said that, what are your most important assets? Your money. People judge everybody by their assets, by their money. In the future, your most important assets are going to be your health and quality time you have. So in essence, what are we doing at Juness? We're helping you bank and restore your most important assets, your health, and your future, and the quality of time you have, and that's what the whole Yes system is about. Okay, so what's the future look like? Okay, so what we're doing right now is we're taking stem cells from old people, and we're culturing them with certain compounds that young healthy cells have, and we're turning them back into 20-year-old cells. Okay, those cells we put into storage, and like I said in the beginning, you're only born with one tank of stem cells, right? Well, not anymore, because now once a year, many of our patients are coming back and getting their tank filled up, not with old stem cells, but with young stem cells. The animal studies we've done with this have shown these animals are experiencing an amazing type of change, let's put it that way. They're more active, they're growing their hair back. We have to keep the mice away from the female mice because at old age they're still going after each other, which is an interesting sign. So where is this going to be done? So this is the new office. We'll be opening in 2 weeks outside the U.S. in Costa Rica, where all of the latest therapies will be utilized. This is our cell, this is our room, our actual room where we're collecting, storing, and giving back certain types of stem cell therapy. And it's in one of the most modern, one of the most beautiful climates in the world, the blue zone, where people live longer naturally anyway. So this office, my office in New Jersey, my associated office in California, all use Juness products. We all use AM/PM as a core product. We use Reserve, we use Affinity, and then, now these are patients who come to a doctor's office who are using these products. So, in summary, I think, and this has been a very brief summary, at Juness we bring you the key products based on the most recent science on cellular aging, and the whole secret here is to enhance the quality of your life as well as your health span. I mean, that's staying healthy as long as possible. And I like to end this with saying, well, the best way to predict your future health is to create it. And the way you can do that is be involved with a company that not only is based in the cutting edge science, but has the most modern, up-to-date compensation plans. More importantly, the family that supports you, the people around you that help you build your business. And to me, the 3 secrets to life and success are having a purpose, and you all have your purpose here is to be not only financially successful, but to stay healthier and pass that information on. You have to wake up each morning and be passionate about what you do, or that purpose doesn't get accomplished. And if you're with the right group of people, that is the people around you here today and the people over the world, that passion and energy gets transmitted to you, the knowledge gets transmitted to you. And you become, without a question, not only successful in your life financially or successful in your life from a health point of view, but you now pass that information on to everybody you touch. And the reason I'm here with Juness is I could be in my office treating a dozen or 2 dozen people a month or a week, or I could be out here speaking to you to help you touch hundreds of thousands of people in a week or a month. And to me, that's the biggest gift that I could have, is having the opportunity to work here to bring the science behind what this company does to every one of you. Thank you, guys.
Ladies and gentlemen, folks in the house, let's give it up for the good man, the good Dr. Vincent Giampapa!